Hello, in this video I share the story of how an amazing working relationship with Universal exploded. It involves Hollywood, Gabby Logan, and a spinny chair. So if you scroll back far enough into the history of this channel, you'll see that many years ago I used to interview celebrities. I used to also present on the red carpet. Now, I would do things quite differently, whereas a lot of people that were alongside me would ask the same boring questions like, tell me about your character, what are you wearing? No one gives a shit. I'd try and have a bit of a laugh and a joke with the people in the interview and do things like this.
What's your favourite line from the film, and can you do it to our mascot, Nigel?
One in a trillion. One in a trillion. Nigel. It's a very phallic message.
He's dead, you killed Nigel! Nigel's gone, he's killed him! Believe.
Now, given that style, and also given that I could ask more than 3 bloody set questions, meant that I got noticed by different PRs and 1 or 2 film studios as well. And that led to 1 or 2 UK-based press trips, and it also led to a really big press trip that I did for Fox out in Utah. Now, it was at this point that I thought, oh, hang on a second, why am I doing this all for free? The PR company and the PR agents, they're getting all the money out of this. I'm having a great time, don't get me wrong, and I'm producing some great content, but surely I should be getting a little bit of money out of this myself. So the bright idea to contact studios directly. I got in contact with Universal Studios. Now my main pitch to them revolved around saying that, why are you hiring PR agencies who are bringing in content creators who are doing all the hard work? Because the content creators that they're bringing in, they not only create the content, but then they push it out to publications. Why don't you work with a content creator directly who then syndicates that content out? Because then you've probably got a lot more control over how you want the piece to be. You can actually have your direct involvement with the direction of the piece and the style. And they loved it, and they were sold. And we started looking at different projects that we could get involved with, and there were 1 or 2 movies coming up, and they also had the Centenary for Universal coming up. Universal's 100th birthday, and they started considering sending us on this trip, and they started kind of looking at all the press coverage. So that's part 1 of the story. Part 2 involves me in a slightly different way. You see, at the time of doing this, I was very keen to also become a TV presenter and do freelance work for different TV shows, and I had sent my show reel out to lots of different shows and production companies and networks, and I had a job lined up with Channel 5's Live with Gabby. Now, this job basically entailed me going along to a gambling office, where, I say gambling office, it was more of a, I'm not quite sure of the right term for it, by the way, but it was some kind of company that was involved with sports statistics. I was hired as a presenter, and this is my first job for Live with Gabby, by the way. And when I met with the director just before the shoot, the director said, look, this is a really boring subject. It's so boring. I mean, he really went to town telling me how boring sports statistics were. And I was like, oh, okay, so what do you want me to do then? And he said, look, I just want you to kind of have fun. I've seen your show reel, and I've seen what you do with people on the red carpet. I've seen the way you laugh and joke with them. So I want you to have fun. I want you to create little races with people, run around tables. I want you to create a little game where you take 2 office chairs and you see who can spin the most rotations in that chair in a minute. And I was like, really? You want me to do that? You really want me to do that? Are you really sure? And he went, yeah. So that is exactly what I did. I played games in spinning seats, and then I ran around tables. I did exactly what the director wanted me to do. Now, at the end of that shoot, I turned around to the director and I said, look, we've got loads of time. And this is a big deal for me. And it really was at the time. And I said, look, is there anything you want to reshoot? Is there anything you want me to do in a different way? And he was like, no, look, you're great. We're wrapped. We're done. We'll definitely use you again. Take care. And that was that. So that all sounded pretty good, right? So I'm then having a conversation with one of the producers at Live with Gabby, and I mention this kind of partnership that I'm working on with the Universal, and I mention the Hollywood thing. And they say, well, that sounds amazing. I mean, we'd love to get some footage of that. You know, could you maybe, you know, get some footage for us on that trip? And I said, well, yeah, sure. I'm sure Universal will love that. You know, adding a TV show to my proposal. I'm sure that they would actually send me on the trip, definitely, rather than being on the fence. And they did. They sent me to Hollywood, and I had this, you know, amazing trip around the Universal Studio lot. It was like a corporate experience, so yeah, everything was paid for. I ate in some really amazing restaurants. It was just like an experience of a lifetime. So I arrived back from the trip. I'm on a high, you know. The trip went really well. I think we've shot some great footage. I'm, you know, thinking about the start of potentially what could be a TV presenting career that I've been trying to get off the ground for absolutely ages. So yeah, everything seems brilliant, you know, walking on clouds, whatever you want to call it. And then I check my email, and there's an email from one of the producers at Live with Gabby, and the email basically says, I've seen your footage, I don't understand what you were doing, we can't use your footage, and we can't hire you again as a presenter. And I'm like, what? Are you serious? And I have to go away, right? I have to go away. I get all these different kind of feelings, emotions coming up, just like shock, anger, like what the film show is actually going on here. Calm down, and I have a call with the producer, and he basically says, look, you know, this was meant to be quite a serious subject. I don't understand why you're racing around tables, why you're spinning in chairs, what were you doing? And I said to him, I was following the direction of the director. And I told him straight, look, at the end of that shoot, I double-checked, I triple-checked with that director. And I said, are you sure? Are you really sure? You don't want to shoot anything else? Any other versions? Anything? And he said, no. So I left, so we all left. And what I was told was, look, well, there's nothing I could do. And this is the producer talking, right? Look, there's nothing I could do. This wasn't what we wanted. And also, we can't use, this is the real kicker, we can't use your Hollywood footage because we're not going to use you as a presenter. I'm like, wow, Jesus. How am I going to explain that to Universal? Because telling Universal about the Live with Gabby coverage was the thing that pushed it over the edge, that pushed the whole thing over the edge. That's what got them really excited, and that's what really sealed the deal. Now, look, I think that trip probably would have still happened if we didn't secure the whole Live with Gabby thing. I think it still would have happened, but when you create an expectation for someone, especially at the beginning of a business relationship, and then you don't fulfill that expectation, let's say you just completely smash that expectation, and not in the good way, then that has an impact, and it completely destroyed any trust that Universal had in me. They didn't want to work with me again, and that was it, and that was really it. And from what I understand, what happened after is that Universal got in communication with Live with Gabby, and then they created an edit with the footage that we had created that didn't include me. They just cut me out of it. Quite a few years have passed, by the way, since this has happened, but it's still quite hard for me to get my head around that there was no comeback on the director. But as far as I'm aware, nothing happened to him. You know, he kept his job, he went on and did other projects, whatever, and it was, unfortunately, my head on the chopping block because I was the new boy in town. I was the new boy in town, so I was collateral damage, I guess, as far as, the crew were concerned. I'll now play to you the full piece that we created for Universal. That includes me in it, so I'll see you on the other side. Hi, my name is Kevin Durham. I'm in LA to celebrate 100 years of Universal Pictures. To celebrate their centenary, Universal Pictures are restoring a whole bunch of their classic films, from Jaws to Dracula. So I'm going to go to their studios to find out how it's done. What the restoration process does is essentially repair the mouldy bits of the film by using some high-tech wizardry. Not only restoring the film to its original state, but also making it look and sound better. My first port of call was to see Bob O'Neill, so he could start to explain the restoration process.
What we do is we determine a title that we're going to work on.
Okay.
And first thing we do is we go into our database and we start looking at what we have available easily to get to. But you go through and you look at all your picture elements, and then you look at all your audio elements, see what's available, and you determine, okay, I think this is the best stuff to work with.
I then went to Universal's digital restoration facility to speak to Michael Deruti about the colour correction process.
Well, the color process is we take a raw scan of the original negative, scan it at a high resolution, and then through our digital color correction tools, we will basically color grade the shots so that they all match in a consistent manner.
Next up, I had a chat with Jeff Perchel from the Archives Department, who showed me some pretty cool props from some of Universal's classic films.
So, whenever our home entertainment group wants to release a classic title on DVD, they usually come to our department to say, what assets do you have from this production? And when it came to All Quiet on the Western Front, which is one of the films that we're restoring as part of our centennial effort, we actually had quite a bit of material from this production. In addition to some prop gas masks and grenades and that kind of thing, we also have a full collection of production stills and posters from All Quiet on the Western Front.
What do you think of that then? Leave me a comment down below, let me know your thoughts. Please do smash that like button, subscribe. Until next time, take care of yourself and I'll see you soon. Cheers.